In the last lesson, we looked at how to work with numbers that were actually text. In this lesson, we'll look at working with dates that are actually text. This is a list of dates that have been extracted from a company's HR system. They are the dates that employees are paid each month. Although the HR system has a Save as Excel function, for some reason best known to the programmers, any dates included in the extract are stored as text. As you can see in cell A1, it looks like it's got a date in there, but there is an apostrophe at the beginning of the entry. You can see that in the formula bar, and that indicates that it's text. However, if I use the date in a formula, Excel will recognize it as a date. Let me show you. I'll go over to B1 and I'll put A1 plus 1. So I would expect to see the 1st of February, which I do. Even though A1 is text, it's not a real date. Excel understands that it is text written in a date format. Now, sometimes you don't want to do calculations, but you do need Excel to recognize the entries as dates. So, for example, you need to be able to sort a list by a date, or maybe you need to use dates in a pivot table. So if I select one cell in that block of data, go up to sort and filter, it's got sort A to Z, not sort newest to oldest or oldest to newest. So that gives it away that the data we have in column A is text and not dates. Now, the quickest way to convert these into dates is to use text to columns, similar to the way we did it in the previous lesson with numbers. So I'll select those there, go to Data, Text to Columns, choose Delimited, but remove all the delimiters. Then click on Next. Now, I could set this to one of the date options, or I could just leave it as general and let Excel make a guess as to what the data format should be. So I'll leave it as general, leave the destination as A1 so it overwrites the existing data, and click Finish. And now we have a set of dates. We can tell they're dates because the apostrophes have disappeared from the beginning of the cell entries in the formula bar. The dates have gone to the right hand side, the formats have changed, and I can actually change the format, and it does have an effect. If that had remained as text, changing the format to a date format would have no effect at all. Here's another similar example. Here, the dates have been entered by hand. Now, using full stops to separate each element of the date is a common date format in many parts of the world, but unfortunately, Excel doesn't recognize these as dates. Now, we can check that by going up to the Home tab and changing the format of a cell to one of the date formats, and it has absolutely no effect. So I can use text to columns to convert those to real dates. Select the cells, go to Data, Text to Columns, leave it set to Delimited, make sure there are no ticks in the delimiters. I don't want to use a full stop because I don't want to separate this out into 3 columns. So click Next, leave the column data format set to General, and click Finish. Now that hasn't worked. It doesn't work in this particular example with General. So if I go back to Text to Columns, again, no delimiters, but change the column data format to date and pick the appropriate date format. As it happens to be on day, month, year. Click on Finish, and now it's worked. The dates are on the right hand side, they're formatted correctly, and I can go and change to a different date format, and it changes it. Using the same set of dates in another example, another way to fix this particular problem of dates as text is to use Find and Replace. So if I select the cells that contain the dates, although we know they're not really dates, then go up to Find and Replace, I want to find a full stop and I want to replace it with a slash, and click on Replace All. It's now done it, And again, are they actually dates? Well, we can check by changing to a different date format, and yes, they are. So that brings us to the end of this lesson, where we covered how to use text to columns and find and replace to convert dates stored as text into real dates that can then be used for sorting, filtering, pivot tables, and other operations.